do my best to bring out the best in all these icons on the stage today. Each person has something to give. I love that we are across really the country in Saskatchewan. How cool is that? I don't know any other brokerage that can do that in such an easy format. I'm laughing because I'm in the car driving from Florida to North Carolina. I have my 18-year-old daughter next to me laughing because she hasn't seen the world. And she said it looks like The Sims. Yes, it does. But the cool thing is that 87,000 agents across the world can join this platform and learn from each other. So without ado, I just want to start. The topic for today is this: 2023. I've been in business for over 25 years and have seen shifts, I've seen downturns, I've seen recessions, and a lot of agents don't know what to do at this point. And that's what we're going to talk about today with these icons, is what are they doing for today's market? Not 2022, that is over, and this year requires massive skills and insane discipline, and we need a strategy for that. So let's take a look at our panel and just introduce ourselves and go from there. So I'm trying to see, I guess I need to stand up so I can see everybody that is in the panel. So Mike Price from Atlanta, can you please introduce yourself? How long have you been in the business? How long have you been with EXP? And just a little more info about yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, you sound great, Mike.
Perfect. All right. My name is Mike Price. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I actually live in North Atlanta in Alpharetta, and I have been a licensed realtor for over 24 years. However, I didn't get serious about it until 2011. And so I started as a solo agent, then I started building a team in 2012. And year to date, we've done, a little north of 220 million in volume for all those years, and about 1,000 units or 1,000 family helped. And I am the team leader and the lead listing specialist on my team. And we are a high production, high prospecting team. I have a family. My wife is Shannon and my son, John Michael, and we have a dog, Rizzo.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just trying to acclimate myself. So up next, we have Andy Smith from Western Michigan. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. So I've been in the business since I think 2014. I'm a solo agent, kind of do my own thing. I am a husband, father of 3, and I'm kind of the opposite of Mike. I don't do a lot of prospecting. I'm more of like a sphere-based agent.
That's awesome. And I do want to talk about that with other agents on this panel, and you especially, because the referral, working our SOI, is free. And I think now more than ever, working those the sphere of influence, reestablishing those connections that we may not have talked about or talked to in the past, is more important than ever for 2023. Ariel Vargas from Florida, how are you, sir?
How are you, everyone? I hope you're doing well. My name is Ariel Vargas. I have been in business for about 10 years, with EXP for a little bit over a year and a half almost. I am a mega icon team leader out of Orlando, Florida. A little bit over 100 agents on my team. Production has been pretty good the last 12 months, about 300 transactions and $130 million in sales. Happily married with 2 teenagers in the house, and that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ariel. And last but certainly not least, from Saskatchewan, we have Scott Ziegler. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. And when you opened up and said it was, how cool was it that we could have agents all over the place? It is not cool. It's cold here today. So I wish I was with Ariel and in Florida there. But I've been in business for 17 years. I had hair when I started. 2 years, the last 2 years with EXP. Actually, it'll be coming up 2 years here this next month. And that's it.
What was it that made you lost your hair, Scott? Was it the stress of the real estate market, or was it genetics?
I just looked so good without it. I thought, what the heck?
That is awesome. All right, let's get after it. So I will share with everybody what have I done at the end of 22 and up until today, 2023 in January. What actions did I take? And I took a few. The one really has nothing to do with real estate and has to do with life. Typically, I would take a look at what I did for the year end. How many sales did I have? Did I hit my goals? How many families did I serve? And that has since shifted to really how much vacation, how much time freedom I can create so that I can spend it how I want with my family, traveling, watching my daughter play lacrosse at Wingate, my other kids, like that stuff. So I'm really fixated for 2023 on getting that time freedom, then backing out and saying, how can I get to there? And EXP real estate is that vehicle to get me there. Today,
Stacey, we're losing you, Stacey.
Stacey, you're cutting out a bit there. I know Stacey is traveling in her vehicle right now. She's cutting out a bit. Stacey, you might need to click on your gears and reinitialize your voice depending on your connection.
Can you hear me?
All right, we can hear you again, Stacey.
All right, I'm going to be quick and start with Scott Ziegler. What actions are you taking for 2023 that are different?
I don't know that I'm doing anything different, to be honest with you. The one change I'm going to make in my business for 23 is I've always been a goal setter. I'm looking at my goals in front of me right now. I break it down kind of how many I want to do a year. I break that down monthly, and then I have all my, I refer to them as buckets. If I want to do 50 deals this year, well, I only need to do 10 referrals and 5 for sale by owners and 5 off of social media and 3 here and 2 there and 7 here to get to my 50 deals. So I don't have to do 50 deals this year. I really only need to get so many deals per bucket. And I can't necessarily control the number of deals I'm going to do this year, but I can control the actions that I've taken. So what I'm going to do this year that's different is, even though I have all my goals as far as my numbers written out in front of me, I'm going to take a sticky note and I'm going to block them all off so that I can reveal them 1 month at a time. And I'm going to focus on my actions this year, not so much the number of transactions I need to do per month. And then at the end of the month, I'll pull off the sticky note and I will see how I measured up. But this is going to be a year of action. We have information, but what are we going to do with the information? So that's what I'm going to do different this year, is try to be a bit more of a doer of what we all already know what we have to do.
That's perfect. And I did want to add, I said in the beginning that this year requires massive skills and insane discipline, much more than it has ever happened to almost everybody in this room. And I want to challenge everybody and ask them, do you want to be the 10%? And here's what I mean. So NAR came out with stats saying 30% of agents will be out of this industry in 18 months or less. I project much faster and a higher percentage than 30. Now the remaining 60 are just going to skim by. They're literally just going to survive. So who is the 10% that wants to thrive? What actions need to be taken? It is a compilation of massive skills, meaning scripts, working on your listing presentations, working on conversations that you haven't had with people in a long time, how to get back into it. I have a copy of those scripts if anyone wants to message me. I just went to the 3-day Sales Mastery with Bill Pipes, John Cheplack, and Dan Beer, and it was incredible. So moving on, Ariel, what are you doing for 2023?
So I did attended the 3-day sales mastery. It was absolutely insane. It's probably one of the best trainings I ever had in my 10 years
Agreed.
in real estate.
Awesome.
It was absolutely incredible. I think we paid too little. $347 for an exaggerated amount of training. To be quite honest,
Ariel, what, give the crowd some takeaways, some aha moments. We all know what we should be doing, but most people don't act on it. What did you love about the 3-day sales mastery?
In a nutshell, what I learned is we need to go back to basics, and 2023 is going to be the year of going back to basics, and that means call, 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 and then when you're done, call again. That means doing open houses like no other time. That means buying online leads and getting that market share like no other time. And that means staying on your social media and be disciplined with it like no other time. If you do those four, call, open houses, buy online leads, make sure you have a budget for it, and social media, you will definitely have an amazing 2023. We are going back to 2016, 2017. That's what we're going back to, where it was a buyer's market. So there are tons of buyers out there. It's really your job to convert them. And for that, you need scripts. For that, you need practice. For that, you need discipline. For that, you need time blocking and no excuses whatsoever. I think John Cheplack said something that's stick with me, which was, you stop trying to overcome the market. You need to overcome you. And that really stuck out during those 3 days.
That's awesome. I love those three. I learned something every time I'm with them. And if anyone in this crowd, if you're not watching them on Facebook, you should be. So John Cheplack is Jon. He's from Canada. So John Cheplack, CHEPLAK. Follow him on Instagram. Follow him on Facebook. He gives so much free coaching, people. He's elevated my business just by watching his videos. So Mike Price, what do you have to share with us about 2023, what you did in the past, and what you're going to fine tune for this year?
So just like we're talking about, the other participants we're talking about, we are a prospecting team. We have a large database. We have, 5+ touch points to our database every month, but it's all about getting back to the basics and really stripping it down and doing the core basic activities every day that are going to drive business. For instance, we time block. I have a schedule. I follow it to a T. I rarely miss a time block. I block out from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. every day to prospect for listings, and it's non-negotiable. And there's no excuses. You have to be really willing right now in this market to roll up your sleeves and get on the telephone and make calls. Now, there's a lot of folks that do well with social media and a lot of folks that do well with YouTube and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a phone call. You have to know what to say. And the main thing is you've got to get really, really good at learning how to peel back the onion when you're talking to the buyers and sellers. We're heavily seller focused. I'm asking all my agents to focus on listings this year. The buyers will come they just come when you get listings, but get really, really good and at listening and finding out why they need to move. What is a pain point if they don't move? What is their timeline? And once you find those things out, it's going to be much easier to help them. But we are, very, 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 very strong on the basic fundamental, just blocking and tackling every day. Set a schedule, follow the schedule, calling seller leads. We're calling expireds. We're calling old expireds. We're calling for sell by owners. We're calling our database. We're just being intentional about being basic.
You bring up a great point. I always look at myself or think of myself as a fisherman, and we all need a lot of different lines. for real estate. And besides our SOI, what else are we using? Are we using MailChimp or KV Core to email people twice a month? Because that's what we should be doing, giving them content. And by content, I don't mean recipes. I don't mean anything like that. I mean the real estate market, things of value. Paper version once a month, email twice, your sphere of influence, and then social media, whatever you're good at. I don't TikTok. I have an account. I never posted anything. My jam is Facebook and Instagram, and that's what I focus on. So I would say to people in this audience, stay in your lane, fine tune it, Google tips and tricks, Google how to face hashtag and all that good stuff. I love Sue B. I said it in my last one. She's not a real estate agent. She's on Instagram. She is Sue B, and she gives great tips for Instagram, including how to hashtag. Just watch her. There's so much information out there, people, that we should all be taking advantage of it. I want to make sure I got everybody. I got Mike Price. I got Ariel. I didn't hear from Andy Smith. So Andy, can you talk to us about what you're doing?
Yeah. In this past year, I'm guessing was like most, where it kind of felt like the business was just thrown at you. And it's easy to kind of get caught in that mix and get a little lazy. So, I think 2023, the agents that are going to be successful are the ones that kind of go back to their pre-COVID days of, having to work for it a little bit more. So for me, I always tell people, I think I got lucky in this industry. I try to sell 50 houses a year, 15 to 20 million. Just myself, that's kind of enough to support you here in West Michigan. So this year, because I'm so sphere focused, I'm being more intentional on my actions, being a little bit more consistent with them, where I don't think I'm going to do anything drastically different than I've done last year. I'm just going to be more strategic about getting those done. And also one big thing that I'm changing this year, that I actually got from attending the Build conference last year, was one of my big takeaways is, and a book was recommended to me called Who Not How, of removing yourself from tasks that you might be able to accomplish, but you're not the right person to be sitting in that seat. So by removing you from that position, that frees you up to do some other stuff. And so, I'm applying that both in my professional and personal lives to kind of free time up to then pour back into the business, pour back into my kids. One of my biggest goals this year is non-real estate related. I am a father of 3, all under 6 years old. So not losing sight of, being present in their lives. So that's big. And I find that because I'm sphere focused, I'm on social media, I'm calling, I'm sending videos to my clients, but I build relationships with them. So it's not uncommon for my kid to be in one of the videos that I send to one of my clients. And, I just kind of naturally grow that connection with my sphere. And I've learned, organically over the last 7-8 years that that's allowed me to get a lot of referrals.
All right, great. Can anyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
You're good, Stacy.
Great. Is laser focusing on your sphere, because the more intentional, the more you dive deep, instead of appealing to everybody. And I know that I talked about fishing lines, which is important, but what I mean to say is making deeper connections with those people. So I'm so glad that you switch over to blocking. How do you do it? Do you color block? How do you start your morning routine? Which is, I guess, a couple different questions. So let's start with Andy Smith again.
You were kind of breaking up there a little bit. Were you asking about what our morning routines are?
I want to know morning routine.
So my morning routine is probably a little bit different than most people. So I am a late person, so it's not uncommon for me to be up at 1 a.m. And I'm a very slow riser. So I actually don't get up until 8 o'clock when my kids wake me up to get ready for school. So from 8 to 9, I kind of focus on that. From 9 to 10 is my health. I go to the gym, I work out. After that, around 10:30 is when I start getting back in my office, start cranking out phone calls. I usually will go through my emails, make sure there's no fires on the current deals, update clients, and then just kind of dive into prospecting. This year, I'm testing out different systems, video systems like BombBomb. I'm setting up KV Core, so I'll block out some time to work on that as well. And then my goal usually is to be done working by 4 or 5.
Awesome. Let's jump to Ariel. Ariel, what is your morning routine if you have one? And do you time block, and what does that look like? What platform do you use?
I actually do not use a platform other than Google Calendar, but my morning routine, essentially, I wake up around 5:30, 6 a.m. From 6 to 8 a.m. Rather than be browsing on people's Instagram, I'm actually working on my Instagram, on my Facebook. I utilize that time with everyone's on the phone, on the bed, looking at the screen to actually market. I've been doing that for a few years now. So from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., I'll be posting some content or researching just checking out how the exposure is doing or the traffic is doing, and just understanding what I need to do, or I plan for the next day for those 2 hours. And then I own an office, so I usually open the office at 9 a.m. So I try to be here around 8:30, 8:45. And then from there is I start working on my files, or helping out one of my business partners, whoever needs help with files. I also time block for interviews for new agents. So I'm very busy. So obviously, when you have a team of over 115 agents, you're quite busy. So yeah, I am very, very disciplined with my calendar. But I still work on my business, and I want not to create any excuses for me to work on real estate sales, even with a large team.
I think Stacy jumped off for a second. I'll go next, if that's okay. My morning routine is, I guess everybody gets up at a different time. We're up usually about 6 a.m. Spend the first hour or so, just coffee, easing into the day. And then I have a home gym in my basement. It's pretty ghetto, but I usually work out from about 6:45, 7 o'clock till just before 8. Come up, and then I have a home office. There's lots of days I don't leave my house. I'm okay with that. So I'm kind of in my home office about 8 o'clock, and I don't time block. I use checklists. I don't know what it is. I just don't find that I can be, well, between 8 and 8:30 I do this, and then 9 until 11 I do that. I mean, our jobs are just so inconsistent that I find that impossible to do. And I actually don't know a single agent that does it effectively. So I use checklists. I know that there's certain things that I need to get done during the day, and I do try to prioritize them in the morning. And by doing that, by using my checklist, I can glance up and I can be like, okay, did I call these people? Did I make these posts? Did I accomplish the tasks that I have set out before me? And that's how I kind of run my business, is more on a checklist system that I can see in front of me, cross it off. Well, I had 5 things to get through. Now I got 4, and now I got 2. I only got 1 thing left. I got an appointment. I'll get to that after lunch, and then cross it off for the day. So that's kind of how I handle my business. Is I try to get the most important tasks done in the morning. I think that's the industry standard for advice. But I do use checklists versus time blocking.
So I'm back on my phone. Scott, I wanted to ask you, I like, number one, how you admit, like, hey, I don't time block. This is what works for me. Clearly, it's working for you. Do you set any time aside Monday through Friday to lead gen and say, hey, I'm going to lead gen for 2 hours in the morning or 2 hours in the afternoon? Do you do that?
Again, not typically set hours. I very rarely do I have an appointment before 11 o'clock in the morning. Again, just depending on what happens, but I mean, most people are not looking at houses at 9 a.m. or listing appointments at 9 a.m. So I know, as a general rule, I have my morning to get done what I need to get done. And then, yeah, somebody put it in the comments. I do try and just prioritize those high value activities. I'm a for sale by owner guy and an expired guy, so I want to make sure that I call those in the morning, and then lead follow up from there.
All right, Cole. Now I have some more questions for you, Scott. So for sale by owner and expireds, what advice can you give to the people in the crowd? Do you use a certain program to get access to those people? Do you use a speed dialer? What is your process for expireds and for sale by owners?
So I'll go expires first because it's pretty old school. Up in Canada, we just do not. If you're an American in this room right now, thank your lucky stars at how much information you have access to at your fingertips. We don't have that in Canada. So I go to my MLS, I source the expireds. I either send them a mailer or I door knock them with a flyer. It's impossible for me to get a phone number. So the expired piece is a bit different. It's more of a door knocking piece. I find that works well. And then on the for sale by owner side, each jurisdiction, you have in the States, you got Zillow and different things like that. I have a for sale by owner website in my market. So each market tends to have a sort of a for sale by owner website. I just go to the website and do my thing from there. I have I've been doing it for years, so I kind of got the for sale by owner down pat. And if I can just leave one piece of advice, especially on the for sale by owner part, is call them. It's so easy. It's unbelievably easy, and it's listing inventory.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your process with us. I want to head over to Western Michigan with Andy Smith. And I should have asked you this before. What is your niche or niche? Do you go after expireds or for sale by owners? And what does that process look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Early on in the business, you kind of take every avenue and vet it out and see if it's a good fit. And I found early on that was something that didn't really give me fulfillment. Obviously it works and people are crushing it. I have some great business partners in my organization that dominate that space. Like some of the people on the panel here. I found that it wasn't something that I enjoyed, and therefore I didn't give it the proper training to get good at it. And as a result, it just wasn't effective for me. So it's 100% an excellent way for a new agent to start getting business. But it was kind of a coincidence when I got into the business. I had just gotten married that year. So I thought, what perfect list to create my CRM than my wedding list that I already had in Excel. So coincidentally, that's how I started in the business, was working my wedding list.
That is awesome. You made me think of a new agent that just joined. She used to do hair and makeup for weddings. And that's exactly what she did, is she went into that niche and would attend events for when people got engaged. She would be right there front and center. So thanks for sharing that. Let's move on to Ariel. So Ariel, I want to hear what your niche is, and if you do expireds for sale by owner, share, if you can, open up your playbook. What are your best tips and tricks?
I don't do expires for sale by owners. I used to have Redex and did that for a little bit, but right now most of my business is referral based or repetitive business because I've been doing it for so long, and I came from a customer service background, so I concentrated a lot on providing outstanding service, which has definitely fed my business a lot. New business that I get, I share with my downline and on the people that I mentor. So I've been doing that. And mainly it has been from online sources. I do, however, have concentrated beginning this year to implement call nights, and I think that's going to definitely change the trajectory for 2023. So we're starting to do that on a weekly basis, and I do a lot of the things I do. It's really to keep myself accountable. Since I'm the team leader, many of my planning consists of kind of structuring trainings and meetings and whatnot. But essentially, that's also keeping me accountable with the rest of the team members. So it's really pushing myself to going back to basics and going back to what took me here. So I do that a lot. Don't do the expires, but I do have some team members that do concentrate on that, and they're doing excellent, especially now. The last 2 years, there was hardly anything that was expiring. So I may pick up on getting a software again, since we're back into a buyer's market rather than a seller's market.
Awesome. So we're going to head to Atlanta and Mike Price. Mike, I want to ask you something that I have not asked anybody on this panel yet. What is something you wish you did sooner, or maybe something that you failed at as an agent that you would want to share so someone in this audience or panel like myself can learn from it and grow? Yeah, please share.
So I wish I would have joined EXP earlier instead of only 2 years ago. So one of the things I wish I would have done earlier is got very intentional and very serious about learning the craft. I got serious about real estate in 2011, but I spent all my money trying to figure out a way to get business without having to make a phone call. And it was, a very expensive lesson, and it was a very painful lesson. And when I finally dug in and got my, got my bearings, I started doing lead generation and prospecting. It wasn't fun at first, but then I got good at it. And then I started getting appointments, and then I started setting appointments and closing deals. So I wish I would have done that sooner. I'd be farther now. And then one of the biggest mistakes I made was trying to build a business without leverage. I didn't want to hire anybody. I didn't want to spend the money on an assistant, and I didn't want buyer's agents. And I found out really quickly that I was going to hit a ceiling, which I did. And I couldn't go any farther, and I had zero time for my family and friends and myself. So I wish I would have hired an assistant sooner, and then I wish I would have brought a buyer's agent on sooner, so I could really start to scale. Once I did those two things, my business doubled the very next year. So it was a very, very expensive, painful mistake.
Hey, but you figured it out, right, Mike? Like, the point is that you did, like, you set your ego aside. Like me, I'm laughing because I'm listening to you. You're like, yeah, I didn't want to ask for help. Neither did I. But I did that for like 15 years. I was on my own island. And I want to skip over to failure. And I want everybody on this panel to talk about what they did, how they overcame it. Because for me, for 15 years at another brokerage, I sat in my own tiny island, didn't ask for help. I only learned from my own transactions. I didn't hire a coach until last year. Now I have 3, and they've all helped my business in a different way. I have Russ Collio, who's with EXP. He's a former Bold coach. I talk to him every Monday. I had John Cheplack, and then I also have Mike Cuevas for social media, really for YouTube. Because I know where my gaps are, and I know those people can help fill them. But that's something that I didn't do for over 20 years. And I would say to anybody in the audience that's thinking of hiring a coach, just think about this. You look at Tiger Woods, you look at any high performing athlete, any high person in any industry, Steve Jobs, anybody, literally anybody, they all have a coach. Because why? Because they need another set of eyes. They need accountability, which is the highest form of love. So let's circle back. I have Ariel. I have Andy Smith. I know I'm missing someone I can't see because I'm on my phone right now. So please, if there's someone on the panel that I have not reached out or acknowledged, I apologize, and please jump in right now.
Well, hey, Stacy, it's Brian from the Icon team, and we've got a couple of questions from the audience. One is from Kara Chitwood. For everyone on the panel, if you send out a mailer to an expired, do you use a postcard, a letter, pre-printed or handwritten? And what else do you include in that envelope?
So I love copying off of people, and I have Tristan Ahumada's scripts from like 2 years ago, and in that script, it's about 70 pages. I can send it out to people. Just message me in the workplace. But he outlines exactly what to say and write, and I just do that. I make it as specific to that person as possible, and add value. I just don't ask for business. I add value. That's my take.
I love that. What about the rest of you?
On expires, when I used to do a lot of expires, I called them initially. I didn't really send any mailers, but I did door knock on those listings. And after I had the conversation with them, so if it was a good conversation, but they still didn't give me the opportunity, I was still door knock. I remember one time I brought pastelitos to this lady, and she felt so bad closing the door on me. She actually let me in, and I ended up getting the listing. So I did go that extra mile of door knocking. I don't do expires anymore, or as far as prospecting goes. But I definitely door knocked on plenty of them. And if they weren't home, I already had a CMA with me on hand, and I would drop it off and then call them again the next day.
On the expired piece for me, I'm also a door knocker, and my approach or script was more along the lines of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, whatever. I see your house was on the market for a little while last week, last year, last month, and it didn't sell. I'm just wondering if you were to actually get an offer on your home that made sense to you, would you consider still selling? And a lot of times it's, well, no, we've decided to stay and renovate or whatever the case may be. But what I'm trying to just get to the bottom of is if they're still in the market. And if you got an offer that made sense, would you still sell it? Yeah, we probably would. Great. Well, why don't I take a second look at the property? And that's kind of my opener. I mean, I don't want to go all into it from there, but my opener really is just trying to figure out if they could still get an offer that made sense. Would they sell it then? And if the answer is no, or not now, or maybe next year, I always try and get their contact details and add it to my my newsletter that I send out.
Hey, this is Mike Price. I just want to chime in on the expires. I've closed, quite a few over the years, and it was always a phone call at first, but I found that, and I didn't probably do it at the level that Scott's doing it, but I found that over the first week, there's nothing you can really say in Georgia to get them to work with you because there's 35 agents calling. So I would wait till the second or third week, and I'd start calling them very, being just real nice, talking about, hey, you're thinking about getting your home back on the market. And they may or may not be excited about talking to me, but I would then always go to their home and I would take them some kind of item of value. I wouldn't take my real estate, portfolio with me. Here's how good I am. I would bring, like a potted plant or just some kind of statistic on, hey, do you know how many homes in your neighborhood are for sale right now? And it was just it would put their guard down, and they weren't the big bad wolf anymore. I wasn't the big bad wolf, and you could actually get into a conversation with them, and that turned into a nurture. And most of those turned into listings, because after a little while, a lot of agents will quit calling, and a lot of them are using the same script. So once you get face to face with an expired or anybody for a sell by owner or anybody, you're going to have a much better conversion.
Awesome. Thanks all for asking or answering that question, rather, from the audience. We do have another question from Kimberly Van Der Riet. What do you all do to touch on your clients? Quote.
So here's what I'm doing this year, and I learned it from one of my coaches, John Sheplack. I am sending them every month a letter or a postcard of value, and then also 2 emails a month, either talking about the market in my area, the average number of days, the average sale price, what's the inventory like, because it is all of our jobs, everybody on this panel and everybody that's watching right now, is we need to inform and educate the consumer, and we're doing a piss poor job of it. And I'll admit right now that I don't do a great job of it. But what we hear on social media and in conversation when we go to a party is what? What's the market like? What's the response? People are like, it's down, it's bad, it's this, it's that. No, it isn't. And we need to educate people and let them know that this is now self-correcting. It's still a normal market. It's still a great market, but we have to back that up with data. And that's homework that we have to do that we didn't have to do the past couple of years. Why? Because we were taking orders. We're not order takers. We need to master our skills, and we have to show our excellence and our experience through educating the consumer. So you email twice, and then social media, including direct messaging. So you're making a video on Instagram to the consumer twice a week on social media. You're emailing them through MailChimp or wherever twice a month. It's the same content, by the way. And then you're mailing them a postcard or a letter of value about the market or about their home, or maybe something that you learned along the way.
Soledad Garcia from the audience wants Mike to expand on how he started lead generating.
Absolutely. So how I started was I joined a brokerage, and the team leader said, "I'm going to show you how to lead generate," because I was struggling. And I said, "What does that mean?" And he basically told me to take my phone out. He told me to create a list, to create a database. I took my phone out. And he goes, "I want you to write down 100 names of people you know. Start with your mom, your dad, your friends, your brother and sister, all those people. And then I want you to go deep in that phone and create a list." And I did that. And then he said, "I want you to reach out to every one of those people. I want you to call them." And then here's what I said. And I did this about 150 times in a 2-month period. And I said, "Hey, Bill, this is Mike Price. Hey, I won't keep you. This is a business call. As you know, I joined X Brokerage, one of the best brokerages in the world. And I really respect you. And I really think a lot of your opinion. And I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind helping me out a little bit. I'm starting a newsletter next month. And I'd be honored if you let me attach you to that newsletter so you can give me some honest, candid feedback on the content and tell me if you think it's relevant for someone like yourself or somebody that was, in the market or wanted to work with me. Would you mind doing that?" And everybody except for about 5 people said yes. And I, of course, had to get a newsletter. So I had a newsletter created the following month. But that's how I created my database. And like a lot of the folks on the panel are talking about, you have to have, once you get a database, and I can go into that in detail later, but you have to get a database that you are going to, you're going to reach out to. You got to touch them multiple times a month. You have to stay in touch. You've got to get their birthdays, their home anniversaries, their kids' birthdays, all kinds of ways to stay in touch with them. And you have to be very consistent in communicating with them. And the second part of the prospecting, like everybody, I started calling for sale by owners and expired listings, which I didn't love it. I'd rather go knock on their door and talk to them, but I did it, and I knew it was a dollar productive activity. Back in the day, Zillow had what's called Make Me Move, so I would go find the Make Me Moves people, and I'd call them up and go, "Hey, listen, I see your house is listed for, you're looking to make me move. What's it going to take to make you move?" And they say, "Oh, $1 million." I go, "Great, let me come look at your house and see if I got somebody for $1 million." And I closed a bunch of them that way. And then the third thing I did was I got friendly with the agents in my office and told them I'd hold open houses for them. And I told them, if you have a referral, someone you don't want to work with, I'm happy to work with. So I picked up business that way and started doing lead generation, doing open houses. So the name of the game, no matter what you're going to do, you have to get started. You can't be afraid of the outcome. Be attached to the process. Be married to the process, not the outcome. and just be very consistent.
Mike, I wanted to jump in real quick. I love how you said in the beginning of your phone call, I won't keep you. I love how you said it. Like, it's obvious that you said it hundreds of times, but just saying that, I think, lets people puts their guard down and is much more open to hearing your message. I'm totally going to rip that off and use it as my own. So thank you, sir.
We do. You're welcome. We do that. The whole team does that when we're calling any kind of lead, when we're doing lead generation, because you've got just, when you say that, they're not going to hang the phone up on you. They're going to say, hey, this is Mike with eXp Realty. I won't keep you. The reason for my call, you reached out to me through UpNest about a property that you're thinking about getting on the market, is now a good time. And that totally puts their guard down, and they're kind of befuddled. They don't know what to do. Like, oh, wait a minute, I called you. And when you tell them you're not going to keep them, you've got just a couple of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds to they're going to decide if they're going to talk to you or not. So you got to be quick and brief and get right to the point.
We have another question from an agent in the audience. Leanne Holly wants to know, in regard to market reports, where can she find a market report like what you guys were talking? And if it is something that she just needs to gather on each portion of the market, or is it somewhere that she can get it already made?
It's Scott here. Let me answer this real quick, or my take on it is that you should go to your MLS every month and get the information yourself. It's going to make you a better agent. It's going to allow you to study your market. It's going to allow you to understand what's going on in your market. And then if you want to create a template or something in KV Core or Canva that at that point you want to send out, but I would not rely exclusively on a third party to just your broker, your brokerage, your whatever, to just hand you a canned piece of content that you're going to push out. You should research it yourself, and then when you share that information, you should share it in a video to your database or to your clients. People are so sick, in my opinion. We all know the brokerages, the Remaxes, the whatever, that every single agent puts out the exact same market report every single month. If you want to stand out, create your own, do it on video. The people want to see your voice, your heart, your soul. They want to get your perspective on it, and get the information yourself, because it'll help you be a better agent when you're sitting at a listing table with a buyer. You can then say to them, hey, I was checking the market last month and I noticed this. So if you want to just rely on canned content that's pushed, handed to your lap, it's not going to help you become a better agent, in my opinion.
To kind of piggyback off of Scott, he's right on that, of being different. If you just kind of copy and paste and use those pre-filled templates, people just cruise on by those and don't really pay attention. One thing I did is I created my own graphs in Excel, doing exactly what Scott says. I always download the MLS data, and it takes a little bit of extra time, but like he mentioned, you get used to the MLS, you get used to the data, and it starts becoming a part of your script when you're regurgitating that to clients. So it overall makes you a better, more knowledgeable agent. But in it, on some social media platforms, you can do a green screen or pop up, another image as it's looking at your face. So as a sphere-based agent, all of my marketing's got my face plastered everywhere. All my videos are obviously, of me close up. So that's what I found. People will actually watch it if your face is in the video, and likely a lot of the people you guys follow on social media are already doing this type of video where they're, you see their face and they're pointing to something in the background. So that'd be a good way to kind of share that and be different than everybody else.
I love that.
For those of you, sorry, Stacy, I was gonna say, for those of you who are not techie friendly, KV Core has that feature. You could send a market report to each of your clients through KV Core, already designed for you. You put the area or the neighborhood or the county that they live in, and you can set it up to be sent out every week, every 2 weeks, every month, etc. So as far as being able to do touches with your clients, KV Core allows you to do a lot of it. You could put them on automatic campaigns, which has text message feature, email features. You could do the market report for the area that they're looking at or they're living in, or just Florida in general, or whatever state or city that you want to put in there. So KV Core does have all these features for us. It's just a matter of using it. And if you're not creative enough, KV Core allows you to do these things. And if you don't know how to use KV Core, you can always just click on that little help button on the right side of the screen, and they will tell you exactly how to do a market report.
That's
I had a
awesome.
quick question. Hi, I'm on mobile, so I apologize. I can't type. I had a quick question going back to the expireds on what you do different, or what any of the panelists do. My name is Aina. I'm in Texas. What the panelists do different on expireds to make it sell this time.
So I think some of us mentioned a couple of great ideas. Number one, I do like, I believe it was Andy that was saying that he usually wait a week when all those calls died down and they're not as pissed off as they have been for that week. So waiting a few days before you actually make the call would actually benefit you tremendously. And I would door knock right after. So if you still don't get them to agree to hear you out, I would still door knock and bring them a small gift of appreciation for at least taking the time to talk to you.
I was actually talking about when you listed on the market the second time. What is there any secret sauce, anything special that the panelists do to make it sell and not to get expired again?
Get it
Price it properly.
Great question. Well, most of the time it's due to either pricing or horrendous pictures on the listing. So definitely pricing, definitely commission for the buyer's agent, professional photos, professional video, open houses, door knocking, make sure there's a for sale sign. Make sure you send it to your whole database. We have a database and we don't send out the listings that we obtain to our database, which could potentially expose your listing to other buyers. Make sure you're communicating with your seller. A lot of sellers just don't hear from their listing agent. Do reverse prospect. I don't know if you guys have that in other states, but here in Florida, we're able to do reverse prospect, which allows us to see what agents in the market actually send the listing to their clients, and then you can contact those agents. Remind, which is what I use for mailers, it's outstanding, and you can actually set up the the filters where it's pinpointed to the exact people that you're looking to market or potentially bring as a buyer. Or if you're just trying to squeeze the lemon and just getting more listings out of that listing, then you could do that as well with the mailers. Sponsor ads. We have social media, which is so powerful, but posting is not going to get you clients. Someone asked, what's the name of the mailers again? Remine, R-E-M-I-N-E, Remine. So sponsor ads on social media is very powerful, and it's national and international. If you know that everyone already knows about this home in this market, why are you advertising in that market? Maybe you should be advertising in New York. Maybe you should be advertising in Germany. Maybe you should be advertising in California. Maybe you should be advertising, depending on what location the listing is, you should be researching what buyers are moving into this market, where are they from, and maybe that's where you should be doing the sponsor ad. And then KV Core Property Boost is actually pretty good. I get good numbers. I get good emails from there. It's just a matter of converting them right after they actually answer the ad. We also have Workplace. We're in EXP, 86,000 agents, and we don't put our listings on Workplace. Why? Like, we should be promoting the heck out of our listings in Workplace. And if you guys see any of mine there and you want the raw video and you want the footage, I'll give it to you. Find me the buyer. I'm okay with that. And then lastly, the other thing I do is fastemailflyers.com, which has a database of about 40,000 contacts locally, 40,000 realtors locally in my state, in Florida, and then I do a flyer through there. So Basically you have to become a marketer. You're not a listing agent. You are literally a marketing expert, and you need to be doing what that other agent didn't do.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hey, what I learned at that 3-day sales mastery, not from the guys on the stage, the guy next to me in New Jersey was telling me that he does My Plus leads. It's $60 per month. And then he uses the platform Zapier to add it automatically to KV Core. And he has different campaigns in KV Core for sale by owners and expired. So 2 different campaigns for that. So again, it's and I didn't sign up for this yet. I will when I get home. My Plus Leads gives you the information for expireds, $60 a month. Then goes to Zapier, Zapier, which they will send it automatically to KV Core to your account. And then you can create for free 2 different accounts, for sale by owner and expired. Now, the rate of return isn't great, but he did say that he sold at least 5 for sale by owners and or expireds in the past 12 months. And this is a newer agent. So that's the information that I just learned.
Awesome. We're coming up.
Solid.
So sorry, Ariel. We're just coming up at the top of the hour here. Is there any closing statements any of you agents would like to make briefly?
Hey, this is Mike Price. I just want to say something really quickly. First of all, thank you for all of you for watching us and coming into the world and listening to this, and those that will listen to the recording. And I just want to say this: everybody out there has the ability to have a phenomenal business. It doesn't matter where you came from or where you live, or if you're just getting started or you've been doing it 20 years. The secret sauce is consistency. And find those around you who are doing it at a higher level and plug into them, plug into this, everything that EXP has to offer, all the groups and masterminds, and be very consistent and do something every single day consistently, and you will have success.
Love that, Mike. That's wonderful.
I don't think there's anything else to say after that. Mike did an outstanding job closing it up.
Yeah. Thank you so much to our 5 ICON agents. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you giving back within the EXP community here as ICON agents, like volunteering and coming here and sharing with all of these fellow agents. It's a big deal. We always have people reaching out and asking these amazing questions. Feel free to come back every Friday. The agents here on the panel, if you're not on a panel coming up, tell your upline, downline, everybody that you know about these wonderful ICONversations. It's a great way to build the community, build your network and your referrals. So just a round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much for answering all of these great questions. We appreciate you. And if any of you in the audience have any questions, the icons are up on the stage behind me. Go follow them on Workplace. I'm sure they wouldn't mind you reaching out to them and answering any follow-up questions. And thank you so much, everybody. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Yes, everybody. Yes, Meg. Come on, let's dance this.